Broadcasting live from a never-ending Twitter thread, this is Pop Culture Reference, your one-stop reference for all things pop culture. I'm one of your hosts, Garrett Strother.
I'm one of your other hosts, Seamus Connolly.
I'm Ricardo. I'm here. Let's start the show.
Absolutely. And just so everybody out there knows, we were really, really late on last week's episode. We had some major technical difficulties that resulted in a lot of our audio being unusable, so it took a long time to stitch that one up together, but it's out now by the time you're listening to this. Sorry for the delay, and we're on time this week, hopefully, so we'll just keep on rolling.
Alright, and since we have maybe the biggest news day we've ever had on this show, I think we should get into the bulk of our episode.
Absolutely. So, we're going to start out with this week's auxiliary news before transitioning into what our actual main segment is going to be this week, which is the Disney Investor Day news dump that they had this week. Let's start off, though, with some Nickelodeon/Paramount news, as iCarly is getting revived and coming to Paramount Plus.
Damn.
Big news.
I guess they're going to be TikTok stars, you guys think? Is that how they're going to update iCarly?
I hope they go through the trials and tribulations of modern social media. That's what we want to see.
Yeah, man, iCarly as a concept was way ahead of its time.
Do you think it's going to be a multicam sitcom again, or do you think they're going to try to do a huge tonal shift and have it be a single cam, more grounded
This is dark
experience?
And gritty iCarly, Garrett. This is Zack Snyder presents iCarly.
It's 10 years in the future. Sam and Freddy are divorced. Spencer, the brother, has been found murdered. It's all black and white.
Well, the three that are coming back are Carly, Spencer, and Freddy. They haven't said that Sam is coming back. I know that she has been really vocal. You know, obviously, the original iCarly was a Dan Schneider production, which is a big yikes, and she was one of the most vocal people about everything with Dan Schneider. So I am kind of skeptical that Jeanette McCurdy, I'm kind of skeptical that she would come back to iCarly after that experience, and how vocal she's been about it.
I didn't know she was vocal about any of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Because is Snyder part of this new Paramount Plus thing?
I don't think so. I haven't read anything to indicate that, at least.
Well, I mean, regardless, I'm sure she's got some bad connotations to iCarly after some of the stuff that she's come out and talked about, just how damn uncomfortable she felt in a lot of ways.
But yeah, I mean, I didn't watch much iCarly. It's cute. I would be interested to see what competent writers could do with that concept with a modern twist, though I'm sure it's not going to be good.
How
Does
did
this open up?
iCarly even end? I'm trying to remember.
I don't know. And then because they also had the spin-off show Sam and Cat, where Sam and Ariana Grande from one of the other Nickelodeon shows were roommates.
I don't think that was that was a very short-lived show, I think.
But I mean, I think it's technically after the iCarly finale, so I don't know if they updated any of the other iCarly characters in that, you know.
If you're bringing back iCarly, that opens the door. You gotta bring back the Univoice.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's the Drake and Josh, and wasn't there another one in
Zoe 101?
Zoe 101, yeah.
Is Zoe 101 in that universe? I didn't know that.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it's all the same people.
I was a big Zoe 101 fan.
Oh, I mean,
Victorious?
come on, that was the best show.
Okay, Victorious, that's the one that Ariana Grande's from. Yeah.
I don't know, maybe we'll see, these evolve into big crossover events for people like us who grew up watching that stuff. I mean, I know, Garrett, you said you weren't a big iCarly watcher, but
I have a functioning knowledge of iCarly lore.
Of course,
Seamus,
of course.
Don't
And
get me wrong.
I'm sure you were Drake and Josh? Was that?
Oh, of course.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay.
Who isn't a Drake and Josh boy?
Well, I hope we live to see that stuff.
I think they're working on a Drake and Josh. Like, I think they were already working on some kind of Drake and Josh revival. So
Well,
presumably this would be tied in.
Well, that's
if
gonna
Miranda
be
Cosgrove is gonna be on both iCarly and Drake and Josh again, she's gonna be rolling in it.
I don't think they're gonna be doing a Drake and Josh, considering where Drake Bell is right now.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot Drake Bell's major changes as of late. His name change and I guess his style changing to more Latin-inspired music.
Which,
Oh,
insanity.
I don't know about any of this.
Yeah, Drake Bell, if you didn't know, has changed his name to Drake Campana, which is Bell in Spanish, has moved to Mexico, and is now a Latin pop star.
Does he have any Hispanic
No,
heritage?
no.
Great.
But
So,
he
yeah,
apparently has a big
sounds
fan
really
base
cool.
down there, so he figured, you know what, I'm doing way better down there than I am here, so moving on up, I guess.
I was just gonna say, we'll see if the success of maybe this new iCarly show will bring him back north to reprise his role. If it's where the money is, who knows?
All right. Up next, we're going to be following up on the big HBO Max / Warner Brothers news from last week, where just everybody is real mad about
Oh,
it, and
yeah.
I can see why.
Everyone's big
Legendary
mad.
Legendary Pictures apparently only had 30 minutes notice before the public announcement of the HBO deal, and it's sounding like they're probably going to be taking legal action against Warner Brothers. Christopher Nolan, who's responsible for this entire mess to begin with, went on a whole tirade about how HBO is the worst streaming service, and he can't believe that Warner Brothers is doing this. I know John M. Chu is really upset about it, Lin-Manuel Miranda. Pretty much anybody who's involved with any of these movies that are moving to HBO are being very vocal about their displeasure with HBO and Warner Brothers. And I'm interested to see how that impacts the kind of deals that they get with talent going forward.
Yeah, we were all real excited when we found out that we were gonna get like content just directly given to us in such a crazy, big quantity. I know we're talking about more giant drops today, but I guess it was too good to be true when we can see that all this stuff is probably going to be wrapped up at least a little longer than what they said might be the release dates for a lot of the things that they were putting out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand how Warner Brothers thought they were going to get away with essentially pulling one over on their production and distribution partners and their talent. That's just a bad way to do business, and it sounds like Gal Gadot had her deal amended when it comes to the new Wonder Woman, but a lot of other stars of other films going to HBO Max didn't have any kind of deal amendments made, or weren't even really notified that the distribution was changing. So it's not a way to make friends and influence people, is all I'm saying.
It's the
Warner
funniest
Brothers.
part of this whole thing. They straight up didn't tell anybody. This massive thing that's going to change the way movies are distributed for probably forever. That's how big this is. And they just didn't think to tell anybody.
Well, I think it's more that they were more afraid to tell people, Ricardo. I don't think it's
But still, you can't...
absent-mindedness.
I'm not saying it was absent-mindedness. I'm just saying that no one thought it would be good to tell somebody?
I think they were worried that they would be facing legal action preemptively that would have kept them from making the deal to begin with. It's very underhanded, very shady. Yikes.
I'm still watching Wonder Woman, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, again, this is a deal that's great for the consumer. This is what we said last week. But the impact that it's going to have on the industry and the people that work in the industry is potentially very troubling. Alright, shall we hop over to another corporate powerhouse making power plays?
Yeah, this is just a little appetizer for what's more to come.
We're in the Spider-Verse now, bitch.
Yes, we are going right into the Spider-Verse for Tom Holland's third outing as... Well, I guess it's not his third outing as Spider-Man, but his third primary Spider-Man film. We thought it was big news early in the week when they announced that Alfred Molina was back.
Nah, man. Everyone's back. Everyone!
It's truly like Tom Holland is getting less and less of like the main spotlight as we go here, and I love Tom Holland, but I am not upset with any of this news that I'm hearing.
So, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Kristen Dunst, and Emma Stone are all reprising their roles from their respective Spider-Man films in the newest Spider-Man movie.
As are Jamie Foxx and Alfred Molina, like we already said.
I think it's pretty obvious that we're going into the Spider-Verse no holds barred, and I'll be interested to see how they're able to pull this off. Obviously, I trust Sam Raimi. I think he's going to do a great job, and with introducing the multiverse, who's directing the new Spider-Man? Is it John Watts again?
Yeah, I'd assume so, right?
So, he has a pretty good handle, I think, on his universe and the tone that he has for Spider-Man. And when you're bringing in Raimi's guys, I'm assuming this might be setting up some kind of Spider-Man 4 for Raimi.
Oh, wouldn't that be just the biggest extra surprise of that? I wouldn't hate that if it's kind of using this as a backdoor to get back into the Raimiverse.
I mean, this is all initially exciting news, though I will say I'm hesitant because it seems like this movie might get pretty bloated.
Oh yeah, man, this could very easily turn into just a big old mess.
Just the ghost of Spider-Man 3 past, maybe? Just like too much in one movie is just going to make it... I mean, granted, I love Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3, but if they thought that they were trying to fit in too much in that movie, this movie is going to be just bonkers. It's going to be overwhelming.
I think the trick to this movie is going to be trusting the audience to remember enough about the other franchises and not spoon-feed it to them, but also have a strong narrative with the MCU characters while the other universes are taking more of a backseat. Because if you're trying to do too much justice to those other franchises, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man franchise and the Amazing Spider-Man franchise, I think it's going to be really hard to fit all of that into one film.
Where's Paul Giamatti?
Oh, go to hell, Ricardo. They're going to freeze frame ending this one too.
Everyone else gets to come back.
What if the opening shot of this new Spider-Man is the continuation of the freeze frame ending from Amazing Spider-Man 2?
Oh, then I'll forgive it. I'll forgive it forever.
Well, maybe that's when the Doctor Strange portal opens and Spidey gets sucked through.
There we go. Or Spidey and Rhino. There's your Paul Giamatti intro.
Paul Giamatti's the main bad guy.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was just going to say, there's also a world where, a lot of this multiverse stuff gets... I feel like I'm scared to get my hopes too far up if they just it's just an after credit scene where all the Peter Parkers and love interests are having falafel together or whatever, just like a little extra gag or something. But
they're at the How It Should Have Ended Super Cafe.
Yeah, some BS like that where everybody's just hyped the whole time to see, Toby or something, and then he's just like a little, here's a little Easter egg for you.
I hope it's 2 scenes. I don't hope it's more than that, to be honest.
We need balance. We need middle ground between the whole movie is 3 Spider-Men thwipping around versus just an after credit scene.
Yeah. Balance is going to be the key, especially considering the rumor is it's sounding more and more official that Charlie Cox's Daredevil from the Netflix Daredevil series is also going to be in this movie.
Jesus Christ. Spider-Verse indeed. I love this news if this is very big if true. This is finally the first implication since the ending of Punisher. Was that the last Netflix show?
I don't even know. I dropped off after Daredevil Season 2.
Yeah, I slipped out of there after the first Defender season, but...
Yeah, same
Isn't
here.
that the only Defender season?
Oh, is there only one?
Yeah, there's only the one.
Oh, well, I dropped off after that. I tried Punisher, didn't really click for me all that well, but this could be big to finally bring in, Luke Cage back, Jessica Jones, big screen stuff. I was really, back before we didn't know too much about Endgame and Infinity War and stuff, I was kind of hoping that they'd get a little bit of an attaboy, get a little scene of them running through the streets or something, but... it's been all radio silent. There's been no updates on the shows. They've been kind of cold for a couple of years. So I would love to see Charlie Cox as Daredevil again because he kills it in that show.
I was just saying Kingpin. We
Sorry,
might
Ricardo,
get to
you
see
go.
Kingpin again. Vincent D'Onofrio.
Oh, yes.
Yes, I would like to see him come into the MCU. I know D'Onofrio really wants into the MCU.
Kingpin's
I
always
think-
been like a Spider-Man secondary villain too. Seeing him hang out with Tom Holland, I think that could be fun.
For sure. I mean, you could do it Spider-Man PS4 style, where the opening of the movie is him taking out Kingpin.
Yeah, exactly. It could. I have a lot of high hopes for this movie, and now I'm just getting more hyped as the weeks go.
But we'll circle back to Marvel. Don't you guys worry. But let's finish up our news. Taylor Swift has dropped her second album as a surprise since March. We had Folklore earlier in the year, and now she's surprise dropped her newest album, Evermore. I haven't had the chance to listen to it yet, but Folklore was really solid. She is clearly doing work in quarantine, putting the rest of us to shame.
Yeah, I'm not a big Taylor Swift person in general, but it is impressive to see the consistency of this content coming out right now.
Ricardo, what are your thoughts on Taylor Swift?
I'm not really a fan. I don't hate her or anything. 'Cause whenever I would hear her music, would be like on the radio, but I don't really listen to the radio anymore.
What is a radio?
This was back when we went places and we had to get into cars.
What? No.
Who goes
I don't
places?
believe you.
I'm just imagining the two of you driving around town, having a great time listening to Taylor Swift together.
That would be so cute, Ricardo. We should do that after we can do things again.
What is she doing? Like she's doing something with her old stuff?
So, we covered this on the podcast last year. Basically, she has a dispute with her old record company where essentially she's not getting the royalties she's owed, despite the fact that, she wrote and performed all of her old back catalog. So, since she still owns the rights to the original music, just not those recordings of those songs, she's re-recording her entire back catalog so that she can release them in a way that she's actually getting the royalties that she's owed, essentially. So, in addition to these two new albums that she's churned out, she's also in the midst of re-recording her entire back catalog, which there was that Ryan Reynolds ad for Match.com a couple weeks ago where they debuted her first of those songs to be released, which is her Love Story re-recording.
I did not see any Ryan Reynolds dating thing, but that makes a lot of sense.
He's the devil,
Oh.
and he's dating 2020 Incarnate.
Oh, wow, look at that.
Topical.
They're going to gyms where the equipment's all blocked off, and they're going to movie theaters. You
Oh,
get it,
wow, that's so fun.
Well, I'm excited to hear this new album. I'm excited to hear her re-recordings. Maybe I can turn you guys into Swifties by the time the podcast
Yeah,
is
maybe.
done.
I've seen her in concert. Maybe I should just lean into it.
Here's a piece of news that we seemingly willed into
Yeah.
being. We mentioned this on the podcast a few weeks ago, and Telltale, which is now under new ownership, Telltale Games, has re-released some of their old back catalog that's been unavailable for a long time, including Strong Bad's Cool Game for Attractive People, Telltale Texas Hold'em, and, most importantly, Wallace and Gromit's Grand Adventures.
Insanity. We just talked about this.
I am so happy. I don't have a computer that I can play it on because it's only for Windows on Steam, but, that's just a small problem to overcome to play Wallace and Gromit's Grand Adventures.
We are going to have such a fun time playing that game. And honestly, I've never even heard of Strong Bad's Cool Game for Attractive People, and I used to love Homestar Runner. I assume that's the same property.
It's supposed to be really fun from what I've read, so maybe we'll have to check that one out too. Seamus, you've got a PC. Go, they're on $15 right now on Steam.
Man.
Yeah.
Let us know.
That's
Go
great.
buy us the Wallace and Gromit game.
Yeah, maybe I will.
But with that, it's time to move into our main segment, the Disney Investor Day news dump for the next 5 years. So,
Just a big old,
let's go ahead
big old Disney dump.
So we're gonna go ahead and break down all of this giant Disney Investor Day news kind of by category, which is essentially how they tweeted it out as well. But the first thing we're gonna talk about up top is that Disney is going to be releasing a kind of Hulu alternative internationally outside of the United States called Star, which will be a separate tab in the Disney Plus app where you can go into to access mature content. So since Disney Plus has stuff that's all supposedly PG-13 or under content-wise, if you go into the Star category on the Disney Plus app, that's where you'll be able to see, your Hulu originals, your more adult Fox content, other more adult Disney content, stuff like that. That kind of gives me hope that they'll do something similar here in the States, because that's been one of our major complaints, is that it feels like they're holding back a lot of stuff on Disney Plus, including pre-existing properties like Adventures in Babysitting and Splash that they've had to censor in order for it to meet their standards for what they can put onto the service.
Yeah, I'd love to see that implemented in where we are. It would be nice, like you said. There's some weird censorship stuff, and just to have it more as a complete package, I suppose, instead of switching back and forth, paying for 2 for 1, whatever you want to call it. It would be nice to have.
So yeah, with that, shall we move into our Hulu news?
Let's do it.
We had just an absolute slew of new Hulu series announced. First up, Only Murders in the Building, which will be Steve Martin and Martin Short, and also starring Selena Gomez in a new comedy series. Sounds interesting. I like all 3 of those people.
Yeah, very confused a little bit between the 3 stars here, but I love Martin Short and Steve Martin together. I think they've done some fun stuff, and I've got nothing against Selena Gomez. I like The Wizards of Waverly Place, but I feel like it's gonna be a lot more spotlight on the 2 Martins.
Well, I'm hoping, that they're folding Steve Martin and Martin Short into the Wizards of Waverly Place universe.
Well, we can only pray.
Oh, is
Garrett.
that what this is?
Up next, Kate McKinnon will be playing the con artist Elizabeth Holmes, who had an HBO documentary made about her pretty recently. I'm trying to remember exactly when that came out. She was
it was like a year or 2 ago.
Healthcare entrepreneur. Yeah, like a year ago. And she was a healthcare entrepreneur that essentially scammed a bunch of people out of a lot of money, and it'll be interesting to see Kate McKinnon take that on. We've also got a FX on Hulu adaptation of the Vertigo comic Y: The Last Man. Do you guys know anything about this franchise series?
I've definitely heard about it for a long time, and I've seen it in a lot of, when I used to go to comic shops and stuff and know more about that. That was definitely on the. It was a big talk a lot. We talked about this for 10 seconds when we talked about Chaos Walking.
Oh right, yes, we did talk about that. You're right,
it's
Ricardo.
It's kind of like that.
Sounds interesting. We'll have to see as more comes out. This is definitely the thing I'm most excited about from the Hulu news. Another team up between FX and Hulu is a Noah Hawley, who made Fargo and Legion, is working on a Alien series set on Earth.
This is definitely what I'm most excited about too in this Hulu section. They've been doing a lot of good, interesting work in the Alien universe in the last couple years, and I don't think I have obviously I'm gonna go in with some cautious optimism, but I'm very excited just to see how they're gonna bridge some of the gaps of the the classic Alien universe into the newer stuff that they've been producing with Michael Fassbender.
They're bringing the xenomorphs to Earth?
Well, it's probably gonna be people on Earth going out to see them xenomorphs.
I don't know. I'm very curious to see how they're gonna handle it, because I also know that the Alien timeline and how everything lines up is kind of messy right now, because after Aliens, some stuff gets kind of weird and contradictory and kind of all over the place in terms of quality as well. And I'm sure there are comics that kind of clear all that up, but I'll be interested to see this new take on the Alien franchise.
Especially with that showrunner. I haven't seen it, but everything I've heard about Fargo has been amazing.
I've watched the first few episodes and really liked what I saw, and then just never went back to it. But for the final bit of Hulu news, which is really more FX news, that It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia has been renewed through season 18, so there's going to be at least 4 more seasons, making it the longest-running live-action sitcom in TV history.
Right on, baby.
Yeah, I'm just very happy for them. I love this show. I know, Ricardo, you are a big fan as well. Garrett, I'm not sure your relationship with It's Always Sunny, actually.
I've watched the first several seasons. It's not really for me. I think it's brilliant. I like the cast a lot. I see everything that everybody loves about it. It's just a little bit too mean for me.
Yes, it's very mean. I understand.
And it's just not a world I enjoy spending time in. I can appreciate it, as a marvel of writing and of satire and just of comedy in general, but it's not my favorite show in the world.
Like I said,
I watched the Christmas special last night.
Granted, that Christmas special is fantastic, so I kind of understand where you're coming from, Garrett, with it is very mean, it's very gross, it's very over the top, but I think, like you said, it is so impressive in so many ways, and I'm glad that it's making some history with this newest update. So I hope they don't overstay like so many great shows have ended up doing in their final seasons, but from what I've seen with their newer stuff, it's still really, really funny, really well done.
It's amazing how consistent they are. There hasn't been a season that stood out as oh, that was really bad, or they haven't been the same since whatever. It's been pretty steady. It's oh, great, another It's Always Sunny season, and it's still funny as it was 18 years ago.
Alright, should we move on to some Star Wars news?
All of the Star Wars news.
There's so much Star Wars news.
We'll talk about this more at the end of all of the news, but do you guys also feel like this is a huge misstep in terms of they gave us way too much content announcements all at once, when any of these things individually I would have been really excited about, but I'm literally nauseous because there's too much to process from what they've announced.
It's a lot. You're not wrong. I mean, they could have stretched this amount of content out over years and years and years, and we would have been satisfied just if they kept up the consistent quality of something like The Mandalorian. But they just oh, you like The Mandalorian? Have everything be The Mandalorian. Have everything.
So it's proof to me that Disney is still very much under the Bob Iger attitude of, if it makes money, we're going to saturate the market with it until people don't like it anymore, which is disappointing to me, especially because that kind of works for something like Marvel, but Star Wars, I think it's been proven that it does not work for Star Wars, and this is way too much Star Wars content. But also, I think just the sheer idea of laying out every piece of media for the next 5 years that the largest entertainment company in the world will be creating, laying that all out in a single day is way too overwhelming, regardless of how good it's all going to be.
I mean, if it's going to all happen anyway, does it really factor in a whole lot? When you figure out or when you hear it's happening?
Well, why it doesn't allow us to actually be excited about in the same way, I don't think, the things that are being discussed. I think it takes away some of the impact of learning what different artists and different creators are working on. It makes it just feel like a very cold, very impersonal, here's all the stuff, you like it, right?
I mean, I definitely get what you're saying in a lot of ways. This was a lot. But I will say, we have this... I feel like we got a lot of a similar thing when they were announcing, every Marvel show that was going to go down and all the, when Disney Plus was launching initially and all the stuff that was going to be on that. It was more of just a big teaser day of just this is eventually going to come. That's fine. This is all dated for the next 1 to 3 years, pretty much, all this Star Wars stuff.
It's the next
5
years, I think, of Star Wars, or of content in general. But yeah, the next 5 years of
and
Star Wars.
I think it's probably going to go the way of a lot of that other Marvel content, which was inevitably pushed back for whatever many reasons, including a giant global pandemic. And I think that this is more of like a kind of like a wish list for them of like, we'll definitely try to sell you all this Star Wars in the next 5 years, but I think it'll probably be less than we're intending here.
See, that's part of it, is that more isn't better, because when you're dealing with so many projects, inevitably things change. The cultural landscape changes a lot, especially in turbulent times like these. And so it seems naive and almost dystopian to me to just drop all of this at once when there's no way that this plan is going to stay in place. It feels bad for the company, it feels bad for the creator, and it feels bad for the consumers. To me, I don't see an upside to this. It feels like they're trying to recapture that, like you said, when they teased out every single thing that was going to be on Disney Plus on launch day. But the difference with that is, most of those things were content we were already familiar with, content that we already liked, and it wasn't attempting to process like, oh, so there's a new Alien show, and 10 new Star Wars shows, and 15 new Marvel shows, and all this Pixar news, and all this Disney news, and...
Yeah, man,
It's new information. It's too much new information.
And, that being said, actually our first piece of this Star Wars news has been, I think been being worked on since Rogue One? Is that true? We've definitely had a couple years of rumor about, the Andor series that they released this sizzle reel for.
Yeah, they've been teasing this out for a couple years. The first few bits of Star Wars information are things we already knew that have just been expanded upon, which I don't mind at all. So yeah, we got our new Andor sizzle reel, which is obviously set before the events of Rogue One. And, I mean, it's clear Diego Luna's super excited about it. I like that character, and I'm excited to see what they can do with the concept of a spy thriller series set in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, a lot of that sizzle reel too also looked like, it's kind of like some of the themes in Rebels of just like pre-rebellion, building that like network, trying to like become the rebels that are, iconic from the originals. It's going to be a lot of that revolution and, like you said, espionage, spy stuff that we already know that we're going to be seeing.
I love that bit of the creature shop that we got to see in that sizzle reel.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, Neil Scanlon, who does all of the creature and droid effects for the movies, is doing all the creature and droid effects for the show, so clearly they're not pulling any punches with this show. That was a big emphasis of the reel, was like, we're putting as much effort and money into this as we would a feature film.
Yeah, that was like every interview was like, we are treating this like a movie, so it's going to be the quality of a movie.
It says 12 episodes, so I'll be interested to see if this is a limited series, or if this is, gonna be something they're gonna try to pull out into multiple seasons.
It's been sounding like a lot of these Disney shows are gonna be limited series. I don't think they can sustain something for this budget for that long.
I agree, and I'll be interested to see what is improved and enhanced by that, and what stories are kind of held back by that. I'm very curious to see how all these pan out. But let's talk about our next Star Wars series that we knew was coming, officially titled Obi-Wan Kenobi. Not Kenobi, as it was rumored. But the big reveal of this, other than the logo and the title, are the fact that Hayden Christensen will be reprising his role as Darth Vader in this series.
Big news! That's big!
Huge news.
Going to be interested to see, because I can only imagine that it's going to be Hayden Christensen as gross, gray, helmetless Darth Vader that we get glimpses of in the original trilogy. And
yeah,
I was just going to say it's going to probably, I don't know, maybe lead into a lot, or it might draw a lot from these really awesome Vader comics and expanded universe stories that give, it finally gives Darth Vader a little more intimidation, a little more fear that he actually puts out. I love Darth Vader in the original trilogy, but he really only gets like frightening Darth Vader when it's like the end of Rogue One. And I hope, and I guess I assume they're going to be pulling a lot of that more in with Hayden.
I'll be interested to see how they use him in this series for sure, and how he'll play in. Is it going to be parallel stories? Is there going to be bits where Obi-Wan leaves Tatooine? Because it's set 10 years after the events of Revenge of the Sith, so approximately 10 years before the events of Episode 4. It'll be really interesting. I wonder if we'll get flashbacks.
That's what I was thinking too.
With Clone Wars era Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor.
Maybe Rosario Dawson getting de-aged a little bit.
That could be very interesting. And it would be a nice way to make that character feel like she's part of the same universe as the prequels. Because I will say, I recently rewatched the prequels with my girlfriend Annie, and during episode 3, I kept thinking, oh, so Ahsoka just did whatever, you know.
It's very jarring when you, like, go from, like, you watch the Clone Wars and jump into Revenge of the Sith, and there's not even a mention or a nod or anything. Obviously, for obvious reasons, it was made before Ahsoka was even a thing, but feels like a lot is missing there when you base so much of the canon on the Clone Wars for the prequels.
Absolutely. But up next, speaking of the Clone Wars, we have a new Clone Wars sequel series, The Bad Batch. It's got a new trailer, and I really don't care about this even a little bit.
Did you watch the new season of the Clone Wars?
I have not seen the new season of the Clone Wars. I'm aware of the Bad Batch, that they are these genetically modified clones that have more independence than your standard clone battalion, but that's about it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I only saw a couple episodes of the new stuff, but Ricardo, I know you're loving the Mando. I assume you couldn't give a damn about the Bad Batch.
I don't know what the Bad Batch is.
Oh, well, yeah, it's pretty much what Garrett said. It's an elite squad of clone troopers that are just like, they're kind of crazy and they do things in unorthodox ways and they don't like follow the, straight line path that a lot of other clone troopers would, I guess. I don't know, it's interesting. It's not going to be as major as like the Clone Wars revival itself or Mando or anything like that, but I'm sure it'll be fun. They'll sprinkle in some stuff that'll be like new and canon that we have to watch to be all caught up, but I think at this point it's probably going to be just on the back burner of my attention until it's actually out.
The thing that interests me most about this is the idea of seeing the transition of the clone army being phased out as the Empire is rising to power, and how they're replacing these clones that have served their purpose. And you see Tarkin, you see the Emperor in this new trailer, so I'll be interested to see where they take this series, but at the same time, I just don't really care.
Yeah.
Up next, this is probably, I think, the thing that I was most excited about, because Annie and I were kind of keeping up with the Twitter thread, but this, we had no idea what was coming. Did you guys watch this trailer here, this video that Patty Jenkins
I thought
tweeted
it was
out?
great.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I had no idea what this was going to be, and it starts out her talking about her dad was a fighter pilot, and she wants to make the greatest fighter pilot movie of all time, and that this story is really personal to her, and I was wondering, what kind of movie is this going to be? Is it going to be about her dad? What is it gonna... And then she puts on her X-Wing flight suit, it starts walking towards an X-Wing, and they drop the Rogue Squadron logo, which is a huge part of Legends, and was a couple of really highly acclaimed video games back in the 90s. And so I'll be very interested to see what Patty Jenkins does with this intellectual property, bringing it into the new Disney canon.
So it's Top Gun, but Star Wars.
That's what I was thinking too.
Kind of, yeah.
I'm definitely going to be very interested to see if they lean more into the like war side of the Star Wars like they did with Rogue One, where it's like they bring a lot more of the gritty combat to it, especially because like how great are the space battles in Star Wars, right? If it's going to be a huge focus on that and how interesting they can make these like space dogfights, I'm all for it. I mean, I also loved the games back in the day from a million years ago when I could play them, but I don't know. I'm very much looking forward to this one.
Yep, it's coming Christmas 2023, and I'm very interested to see this as it progresses.
And it's a movie. Should we mention that? It's the first Star Wars movie since Rise of Skywalker.
Yes.
Yeah, I
so
guess it is.
I'm glad they're taking time off. I'm really glad that it's not like, oh, there's going to be a new Star Wars movie next year. You know,
And
it's nice to have a break.
And we never have to hear the name Skywalker ever again.
I also wonder, it seems like they've dropped the whole Star Wars story naming device.
That's fine. I won't miss it too much.
Yeah.
No, neither will I. I'm just wondering how they'll market it to make sure everybody knows it's a Star War. You know what I mean? Other than the
Yeah,
X-Wings.
of course.
Alright, but speaking of X-Wings, a new Disney Plus original series set within the timeline of The Mandalorian, Rangers of the New Republic, is coming out. And I can only assume that this is going to be following our friends, the guy from Kim's Convenience and Dave Filoni.
Oh, I took this as it's going to be about Cara Dune and Cobb Vanth. Aren't they Rangers? Or they're Marshals. Sorry, that's different.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see them on this show, too, because there was that rumored Cara Dune spinoff anyway. I would guess this is going to be a pretty direct spinoff from The Mandalorian, probably even crossing over quite a bit with The Mandalorian. And I'll be interested to see what this is more as we learn about it. Also, kind of in tandem with that, there's also another Disney Plus original series set within the timeline of The Mandalorian that is firmly spinning off from it, which is the Rosario Dawson-helmed Ahsoka series.
That's major news, too. I mean, I knew it was rumored a little bit per her casting in Season 2, but that's pretty major. They like you said a couple weeks ago on the Mando-Bros, they really tease a very important and singular side story of her with Thrawn and maybe Ezra if we get there, but I have a feeling that that's exactly what this show is going to be. Probably limited run series, but I'm not complaining about that either.
Has this what the Mandalorian
really
been for? Is that why he keeps going to places and meeting people?
For spin-offs?
Well, we'll talk about this in our Mandalorian episode breakdown for this week, but I feel like actually The Mandalorian this season has been really good at paying off and giving purpose to a lot of the side questy episodes from even last season, that they're bringing in new reasons that those episodes happened and making the story feel more cohesive and fully formed. But yeah, it does seem an awful lot like Season 2's been doing a lot of legwork to set up these new spin-off series.
Ricardo, is this going to push you at all to really dive into the Clone Wars?
I mean, I might check out the Ahsoka show, and if that really hits, I might double back, see the origins.
Right on, okay.
I'll be very curious to see how much you have to know about Rebels to see the Ahsoka show, because this plotline seems to be picking up pretty directly from the end of Rebels. So, I'm curious to see what we all have to know. Up next, we've got a couple of more vague stories coming down the pipeline. There is a new series of animated short films set in the Star Wars galaxy created by Japanese anime creators called Star Wars Visions, coming in 2021 to Disney+.
Star Wars the anime, baby!
I'm straight up pumped for this, man.
Star Wars, absolutely. Star Wars has always had its roots so firmly in Japanese culture and Japanese cinema, and in turn has influenced so much, I think, anime and just science fiction as a whole. It'll be very interesting to see these two things married together. Also coming down the pipeline, Justin Simien, creator of Dear White People, is in the early stages of developing a Lando Calrissian event series for Disney+. They've not confirmed who's going to be in it. It could be Billy D. Williams, could be Donald Glover, I personally kind of hope it's both, with a little bit of that Young Indiana Jones Chronicles flipping back and forth between the timelines.
Nah, on screen together, same time.
They gotta bring in the crystal from the Lego Star Wars Christmas special.
Honestly,
Yeah, right?
would watch.
I'm on board with you though, of like let's do some time jumps. Let's get these two iconic actors, let's get them both in the role. I loved Lando in the Solo movie. Of course, I love Billy D. I'm gonna be glad that this hopefully means we'll see more live action swashbuckling. We see a little bit of Lando in Rebels, I believe, but I want to see more. I want to see more and more important swashbuckling.
Yes, I'm excited to see what this is building towards. Up next, Leslie Headland is developing a new mystery thriller series called The Acolyte, which is set in the final days of the High Republic. So this could be our ticket into some of those Legends High Republic stories being brought into canon, I think.
What is the High Republic now?
The High Republic is I believe it was announced with the book series that they were working on recently. It's like the peak of Jedi, right? Am I wrong here? It's like the peak of Jedi government in like thousands of years before the prequels, the society that like fell to the rise of the Sith again, I believe.
Yep,
so,
that's exactly
hey, Old
right.
Republic, I'm so in. High Republic might get me to get into those books that they're releasing, and I just like that, like Ricardo gravitates a lot towards the stories that do not have anything to do with the Skywalkers and anything to do with, all the stuff that you quote unquote have to watch before you get into it. So this is going to be uncharted territory for the live action stuff, and I'm very excited.
Yeah, I have no idea. I have no idea what the Acolyte means, but the prospect of a Star Wars mystery thriller, I'm all hyped up for that.
Final piece of Star Wars news, Lucasfilm Animation and ILM are teaming up to develop a, quote, Star Wars adventure called A Droid Story, which will be an epic journey with a new hero guided by R2-D2 and C-3PO. The inclusion of ILM in there really intrigues me. I wonder if they're going to be trying out some kind of new multimedia technology. There's even rumors that it might be in virtual reality or virtual reality compatible.
Sounds like they might do it interactive, like the whole choose your own adventure thing they've been doing for a lot of different.
Oh, that's interesting.
Things.
Oh, that's true. Like Bandersnatch it. That'd be interesting. I don't know. That's all very vague. I don't think there's much to say about that, but it sounds interesting.
We're one step closer to getting droids back on the air.
Let's move into some Disney news, boys. That's just also going to be kind of wrapped up with Pixar. First off, we've got, of course, we've got some Disney announcements, which can only mean live-action remakes. And coming from Robert Zemeckis and starring Tom Hanks, here comes a live-action Pinocchio, which I can only imagine is going to be some primo mocap nightmare fuel.
Tom Hanks is Pinocchio?
I'm assuming Tom Hanks is Geppetto, but also I'm really hoping Tom Hanks doesn't Polar Express style and mocap.
I like that idea.
Well.
He plays both.
That's what I'm saying.
Never see this movie, boys. I'm being honest with you.
You're a hardcore Pinocchio stan.
Oh, God. Any hardcore Pinocchio stands out in the woodworks, I'm sure they're going to be crushed by this weird movie.
Out in the woodwork, Seamus. I'm a real boy.
I'm making jokes without even realizing it. Look at me.
Also coming is Peter Pan and Wendy, starring Yara Shahidi from Blackish as Tinkerbell and Jude Law as Captain Hook. Why we still feel the need to make Peter Pan movies in 2020 is beyond me.
It should have ended with Hook, man.
Jude Law is Captain Hook, I will say. I'm kind of into that. I might watch it for that.
I love Peter Pan. It's just there hasn't been a good Peter Pan movie in so long.
You didn't like that weird Hook prequel that came out a couple years ago where they're all chanting Nirvana?
Pan? I did not see
Neither
Pan,
did I.
Seamus,
Come on.
I'm sorry. I saw Peter and the Starcatcher on Broadway. That was pretty good.
But this is just gonna be, it's just gonna be more live action nonsense, man. It's not gonna be Broadway for you, I promise.
No, I suspect not. I will say I am excited for our next film, Encanto,
yeah.
set in a new Disney animated film set in Colombia with a magical family living in a magical house. And the teaser is really short but effective. I'm drawn in. I'm excited to see what the deal is here.
I'm 100% on board. We got music from Lin-Manuel Miranda in there too. Bring this movie on. Sure. I love it.
But, I mean, you guys know how I feel about this next piece of news.
This is big. This next one's big.
And that's what I'm saying. I feel like there's so much big news here that is just kind of buried because there's so much information. Otherwise, I'd be able to just focus on how excited I am about Pixar's new film, Lightyear, starring Chris Evans as Buzz Lightyear. It's not about the toy Buzz Lightyear, but it's the in-universe feature film off of which the Buzz Lightyear toys would have been based.
I love it. Come on. That's awesome.
Brilliant. This is again the first step in getting Star Command back on the air.
Well,
yes, that's what I thought too.
It kind of makes me wonder if the reason that Star Command isn't on Disney Plus yet is because they were saving it to put on to help promote this movie.
Oh, that could be true. I could see that. I mean, anybody who's going to be as excited as us about Lightyear is going to be excited about Star Command anyway.
Maybe they'll put out the complete series on Blu-ray.
Ooh,
or I was going to say this could also be a way for them to reboot Star Command for Disney Plus, a Disney Plus original.
I would love to see that. You know that. Alright, but up next from Disney, we have a first-of-its-kind collaboration between Disney Animation and the Pan-African entertainment company Kugali that will team up to create an all-new science fiction series for Disney Plus in 2022, Owaju. I think I'm saying that correctly.
I
think
wouldn't
so, yeah.
know.
Which, it's at very early stages of development, but we've got a very cool piece of Afro-futuristic concept art of this major metropolitan city with these two figures who I'm assuming are the main characters, one who maybe is from the poorer part of the city and one who's from the more extravagant part of the city, is what it's looking like to me.
I'm loving this concept art.
Oh, it looks gorgeous, and I'm really excited to see where they take this.
I can't not think, though, this just looks like Wakanda, the animated series.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been drawing that comparison a lot, not only because, I think Afrofuturism does get kind of painted with a broad brush, but also, obviously, I would imagine that since Disney's involved, a lot of the same creative notes and maybe even some of the same creators that would have been in charge of developing the look of Wakanda for the MCU could be involved with this new Afrofuturistic series. But hey, it looks rad, so...
Yeah, totally.
Up next, Diary of a Wimpy Kid is getting an all-new animated film coming, what is probably looking like the holidays 2021.
He's back, boys.
You've been waiting?
Have you not?
You camped out for the midnight release of the Roderick Rules live-action movie, is that right?
You telling me Diary of a Wimpy Kid wasn't a huge part of your childhood?
Well, of course it was. I probably read like the first 5 or 6 maybe. I don't know if if they had all come out by the time I was reading them like that, but I don't know. It was fun when I was reading them back in the day. I just feel like it's a strange property to keep bringing back up when it very clearly failed the first time. I guess maybe that is probably a symptom of the live action aspect of it. So if this is better than those ones, then yeah, I'll be interested.
I agree. This is
Yeah, I think we were going to say the same thing. Yeah, man, now it's animated like it should have been to begin with.
Absolutely, Ricardo, I agree. Also, Seamus, you're a Loaded Diaper fan. How many of their albums do you have on vinyl?
I'd wear a Loaded Diaper band tour t-shirt. Come on.
Also coming to Disney Plus in a new animated film, Sean Levy is directing a new Night at the Museum.
Insane. I didn't think we were gonna make it back to the night at the museum.
Yeah, right? Who would have thought of all the franchises to come back?
I mean, I'm happy. I mean, I love Night at the Museum, but definitely surprised.
It's a wonderful concept. It's a wonderful world to play in. The first movie, we talk about this all the time, is just so good.
You think Ben Stiller will come back?
Well, that's the trick, isn't it? When it's animated, you don't have to pay any of the voice talent or worry about recasting Robin Williams for live action. You just kind of plug in whoever sounds vaguely like those characters.
Then we might be getting a new trilogy out of this.
You think so? With the son?
Oh,
You know
that's a
what?
good idea.
Yeah,
You don't think
that's
they would
not
do that?
bad.
Yeah, the sun, that's a good idea. I like that. I like it being the sun.
I was going to say it was just going to be Disney inverse. We're making animated remakes of live action movies.
Well, I mean, that's pretty much everything we're getting here between Wimpy Kid and Night at the Museum, and I don't even think we talked about the Lion King prequel, but who gives a damn?
So it's begun.
Just back and forth forever now, boys. This is it.
Speaking of bringing back old animated things, Chip and Dale are getting their own live-action animated feature starring John Mulaney
Chip
and
and
Andy
Dale.
Samberg.
Insane. I love both of these men. Rescue Rangers is totally solid. Who doesn't love the Rescue Rangers?
I heard they
My
were
God.
doing this, but I didn't give it a whole lot of thought until I saw this image and saw who the new Chip and Dale are. And now I'm on board. Bring it right now. I'm all in for this movie.
Yeah, I'm excited about this.
I'm glad it's not going to be a series and that they're just going all out with a movie that'll probably spark, however many sequels when it's successful because it's John Mulaney and Andy Samberg. But
I think you're forgetting about the Disney Plus series, Seamus. That will be
that will
following.
100% happen in the next. It'll get announced next year when they do 1,000 more things to drop.
I'm trying
Oh,
to
I hope
remember.
not.
Which one is Chip?
I think
John
he's
Mulaney
the-
is Chip.
I think he's the Indiana Jones one.
Oh, you meant what are they dressed as? My bad.
Yeah. So Dale's the Magnum P.I. one.
Let me check. I don't want to get this wrong and have the Chip and Dale fandom on our tails.
Ooh, our tails, good one.
Because if it's a duo and John Mulaney's playing like the more competent one, it feels like it's just going to be Chipmunk Oh Hello.
Oh wait, no,
Man.
Dale is the Magnum PI one. See, we did get it wrong.
So Dale is Andy Samberg and Chip is John Mulaney. I think that works.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. That makes sense to me.
Chipmunk Oh Hello, bring it on.
Yes.
Up next, news I never thought that I would get, but am so glad to hear. Disenchanted is happening. It's coming to Disney Plus, and Amy Adams is back as Giselle.
Insanity.
It's been a long time, boys. It's been a long time
Yeah.
since the first Enchanted.
It's been like 8 years, I want to say. Is that right?
It's been longer than 8 years. I think that movie came out. Yeah, that movie came out in 2007. It's been 13 years.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Back from the dead. I mean, we genuinely, I think we regard this movie pretty highly. It's a good movie. I remember
That movie rocks,
really
yeah.
liking it.
I think it's definitely the best Disney self-parody.
I think so too.
And I kind of thought The Godmother might be in the, which is that new Disney Plus movie that's out, might be in the same universe as Enchanted, but they didn't. I guess they didn't say that directly.
It's
But it
never
could
too
be.
late.
Well, it makes me wonder if they're announcing, Disenchanted is official. So yeah, I'm excited. I am excited.
Me too. This one is gonna be. I don't often love like a super long gap between sequels, but this'll be nice. There's no, as far as I remember, there was no sequel set up at the end of the first one, really. So I'm sure it'll be a fun and unexpected time.
I hope they bring James Marsden back. He deserved
me
an
too.
Oscar for that first one. Alright. There's a whole slew of animated series based on pre-existing properties, shocker, coming to Disney Plus. Baymax, which there already is a Big Hero 6 show, so I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
Zootopia Plus, Tiana, obviously based on Princess and the Frog, and Moana, which the first 3 are coming in 2022, and Moana is coming in 2023.
It's a lot of stuff.
It's a lot of stuff.
They even dropped
So
all
is
this on one tweet.
Like, I'm reading through this. Is it like the movie Disney Animation Studio making a series? Because it says the first ever original series.
Yes, it is the Disney Animation Studio for feature films making these series.
So it's going to be feature film quality animation every episode?
That's what it sounds like, which is intriguing.
God damn.
The only one of these series, or the only one of these properties that I have any interest in seeing continued is Princess and the Frog, and I'm also hoping that that means they're going to bring back 2D animation, which has been sorely missed from Disney Animation Studios, since John Lasseter shut down that division 10 years ago almost.
It'd be nice to see some of that come back, but they're just going to make her 3D animated.
Yeah, but we can dream, can't we? I mean, everybody hates John Lasseter now. It's not like they're trying to preserve his legacy.
So we got Tiana. It's going to be, I assume, about her running the restaurant.
Yeah, probably
I would
some
think
voodoo
so.
magic coming back together.
Yeah.
Moana could be a cool action adventure show. They're sailing around.
Yeah,
Zootopia
Moana has
Plus.
a lot of... I don't
What were you
get
gonna
what
say?
that is, but...
What, Moana?
No, Zootopia. I don't get what to do with Zootopia. Moana has potential to me, but Zootopia, what are you gonna do?
They're cops. Just make a cop show.
Oh no. Wait, Zootopia
Different-
mishandled police brutality so much the first time. What are they gonna do now?
Oh boy.
It's complicated. I think they did as well as they were going to do for the limitations of a Disney movie. I don't know. I like that movie.
Ricardo, you and I have had this conversation before. I just... I don't get it. I don't get it. Alright,
It
shall we
sounds
move
like
on?
you're animal racist, Garrett. I
Oh
think
no.
That's the problem here.
Yes, because racism isn't thinking that there's a
Yes,
problem.
Garrett, explain to me what racism is. The one
Well,
This is
colored
recorded,
person on the
Garrett.
call.
Be careful.
I just mean like, the whole
I win
concept,
again.
The whole concept of there are predators that are inherently dangerous. It has problems. It just has It's sweaty. The whole concept is sweaty. Alright. There are 3 new Pixar series also coming to Disney Plus. Doug Days, which is a spin-off of Up, starring Doug from, the dog, from Up, Doug.
Of course.
Lightning
Okay.
McQueen and Mater are going on a road trip in some kind of Cars show that they haven't announced the title for yet. And finally, this is the one that is the most interesting to me, Win or Lose, a series following a middle school softball team where each episode is told from a different character's perspective.
Yeah,
From the
those
description alone of that last one, it didn't really grab me, but the promo art looks really interesting.
Yes.
I definitely agree. And the first 2 series, the Doug Days and the Cars series, seems a lot like some of the filler, I guess not filler, but like, shorts that are kind of not that important that we've seen on Disney Plus from time to time. Or
Forky asks a question, is that you?
oh god, yeah, exactly. But yeah, the art alone from the win or lose picture here, it is definitely a lot more intriguing. It's something that'll, I don't know, it's new. It's not Doug or Cars from 10 years ago. It's something that we can, experience for the first time a little more.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm excited. I think this has a lot of potential for emotional resonance, which obviously Pixar is known for. But let's talk about their other feature film announcements. They're working on Luca, which is about the friendship between a boy named Luca and his best friend Alberto. It is coming June 2021.
It looks like it's going to be a
Rad.
sweet time. It's a Disney movie about friendship.
Considering that it's so close to being released, I'm a little surprised there wasn't any kind of trailer or even, like, still that looks like finished animation for this one.
So I guess it's really going to be an interesting one to see it come to fruition if most of everybody who's seeing it might be going in colder than a regular Disney movie.
Mm-hmm.
What if it does look like this, though?
Oh, I think that'd be gorgeous. And Pixar's been doing a lot of experimental stuff with their animation on Disney+. So I would love to see a feature-length film in the art style that they tweeted out.
Yeah, and more people are experimenting with, like, combining that 2D, 3D look. I'm thinking of stuff like the Peanuts movie or Klaus that was on Netflix, I think, last year.
Absolutely, yeah. And finally for Pixar, we've got the director of Bao, Domi Shi, is working on Turning Red, a teenager who turns into a giant red panda when she gets excited, coming out in March 2022.
Yeah, I mean...
I'll watch this. I like Bao.
What's not to like? It looks really fun, and I like the premise of it's not like a negative emotion that has the transformation. It's just like girl gets too excited, turns into a giant panda. And Ricardo, it looks to me from this picture, it looks like a lot of the character style of like a Steven Universe almost.
You think so?
You see what I'm getting at?
It's the mouth. The mouth they have a Steven Universe mouth.
Is that it? Just like the really circular edges of the mouth?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I could see that. Have you guys seen Bao?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Great.
I saw Incredibles 2 in the theater.
I was working at the Davis Theater in Chicago when that movie was out, and I would just go in for the Bao every time because it's so lovely.
It's good and weird, and
it's very weird for sure, but it was funny.
Yeah, I'm glad they're giving this guy a chance at a feature.
Yeah, me too. Oh man.
Okay, should we get to the big heavy hitter now?
My goodness, yes we should.
It's time for some good old-fashioned Marvel news.
And I will say, I know I've talked a lot about my Marvel burnout on this show. A lot of this stuff looks really promising to me. Again, I wish we hadn't gotten it all at once, but the stuff that they've showed looks good.
Yeah, starting off with the Falcon and the Winter Soldier trailer, I mean, a lot of that ending of Endgame was about the setup of how a lot of it was about Sam Wilson taking up the mantle of, Captain America, and this trailer kind of threw me a little bit. It seemed like there's going to be some more spy stuff that we were seeing with a lot of disguises again and espionage, but then it also seems like it might be a interesting way to explore the loss of Steve Rogers to, I guess the two people that were the closest to him.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how they both interpret his legacy for people that were so close to him in different ways.
They got banter. This trailer shows them they've got like a dynamic going on.
Yeah, there is a little shot at the end of Sam Wilson just giving Bucky some crap about being part machine, and it felt very, there was some
buddy cop.
I guess, yeah, it's a little buddy cop where they're just kind of maybe not forced to work together, but they feel obligated to work together in a way, and they still kind of get under each other's skin like we've seen in previous movies.
I can't believe you guys haven't mentioned your boy.
Who is
Wyatt Russell.
Oh, right.
Wait, did I miss that part of the trailer?
Did you not know Wyatt Russell was in this? He plays CI agent. This is what I'm really looking forward to if they do this, how I think they're doing it on the show. CI agent is the government-appointed Captain America.
Oh.
And he's doing all the big press tours and everything. And meanwhile, we got Sam. It's he literally gave me the shield. I'm Captain America. But the American people are like, yeah, but you're kind of black.
Oh, God.
We're going to go ahead with good old apple pie Wyatt Russell, white boy, Captain America.
I had no idea about CI agent, but I love that idea. Man, I'm more excited for this show than I was before.
Once again, Seamus, you prove that no matter when we talk about something on the podcast, you will forget it by the time it's relevant again.
Apparently, I'll see you next week, boys.
And that's coming in March, so probably not very long after the WandaVision season wraps up, I'm guessing.
And no doubt they'll, tease out a little bit of whatever to get people hyped towards the end of the WandaVision.
Do you think in WandaVision they'll have like a post-credit scene like they would with a movie to tease the next Disney Plus series?
That is interesting. I didn't even think about the legacy of Marvel after credits stuff in the context of a show, so I truly have no idea.
The show's all wrapped up by like episode 7, episode 8. The whole episode's a big after season credit.
Honestly, wouldn't even be surprised.
I'd kind of be into that.
And then we also got the trailer for Loki, which is coming in May 2021, so not very long after the Winter Soldier wraps its season. And Loki is D.B. Cooper, I guess?
I was gonna say, Loki is D.B. Cooper! That's insane, I love it.
This real weird, man. I'm into it.
Everything about that trailer has gotten me more hyped for this Loki show than Winter Soldier and WandaVision combined. It looks like it's gonna be the most fun, at least. It's gonna be less seriousness, it looks like, and more just like Loki being Loki in different situations.
Tell me, Seamus, at what point in the trailer did you go, wow?
Honestly, immediately after seeing that Owen Wilson is like his guard.
Yeah, Owen Wilson's here. He seems to be the head of some kind of time correction agency.
Yeah, it looks very weird, very interesting. I'm excited to see where they go with it. We also got our trailer for the What If series coming in summer 2021, which looks about like it looks like everything that has been promised so far. I don't think there was anything that really surprised me with this one, but it looks good.
Yeah, definitely. They're keeping it.
The 3D animation is way better than I thought it was going to be.
It looks awesome, and they're definitely keeping a lot more of these what if scenarios close to the chest, because we've definitely had our tease about Captain Britain with Peggy Carter, and I think the rumor of T'Challa being Star-Lord has been thrown around, and of course the Marvel Zombies, and that's pretty much the only thing we saw in this trailer that is anything of a bigger reveal of what these scenarios are going to be.
And this, I believe, will be Chadwick Boseman's last outing as T'Challa, because I think that they recorded this before his passing, but I don't think they have any other performances from him, so...
Well, I guess according to...
Good one to go out on, I guess. This show looks like a lot of fun. I'm going to be following this one pretty closely.
Yep.
Yeah, me too.
Also, having more of a sizzle reel is the Miss Marvel series coming late 2021, which they didn't really tell us a whole lot about.
They really did.
Yeah, I was expecting a shot of her, her giant fists, her big old hands.
I still don't know how they're going to make that work in live action, but I'll be interested to see it. Also,
if they can make a raccoon talk, Garrett, why can't they give a small Muslim girl big hands?
Also coming up, they have confirmed, despite the back and forth wishy-washing of Tatiana Maslany, is confirmed portraying She-Hulk in a new Disney Plus series, which will also star Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner and Tim Roth returning as the Abomination.
So that was all a lie? What was that all about?
Who knows? Maybe it was a contract dispute. Maybe it was one of those things where, Disney has people lie all the time and say they're not doing whatever. Who knows? But I'm excited to see where they take this.
Tim Roth, huh? Damn, I never thought I'd see Abomination again.
Yeah, is there any word on how they're gonna play that? Are they just gonna be like, oh, you sure look different, the Hulk?
Well, I mean, General Ross has already been in the MCU a few times, so I don't think it's really a big deal to have these Hulk characters showing back up. It does make me wonder if they could potentially bring back,
Edward Norton?
No.
Multiverse of Madness!
That's true, but I'm wondering if they could bring back Liv Tyler? Is that the one that's in that one?
I straight up never even saw that Hulk movie.
It's not worth your time, Seamus, I'll be honest.
It's fine. It's the best Hulk movie. That's not saying a lot,
but
it's true.
That is saying literally nothing, but it is true.
So here's what happened. It's Edward Norton. He's a scientist. He's doing science stuff. He's trying to get rid of the Hulk. oh no, experiment gone wrong. Now he looks like Mark Ruffalo. And that's how you explain it in universe.
Boom, quick flashback, done.
He goes into Hulk. When he comes back, he's Mark Ruffalo.
It's
He doesn't understand why.
No explanation. Here's one that caught me really off guard, is we can see Ben Mendelsohn and Sam Jackson are going to be in a Secret Invasion series, which is not what I was expecting.
Yeah, this is weird, huh? This is not just me. It's a little weird.
We saw this tease at the end of Captain Marvel and at the end of Spider-Man. So I thought that this was kind of going to be the next chapter of the movies, but obviously they're tying it into a series, and I'll be interested to see how they adapt it and how much it ties into the actual movies or not. Captain Marvel 2, maybe, I guess?
Yeah, maybe.
This is essentially a Nick Fury, like, kind of solo adventure. We haven't seen that before.
Yep.
I don't know much about Secret Invasion as, like, a storyline, so I don't... Aside from Skrulls, I don't really know what to expect out of this one.
That's really kind of where I am too, Ricardo, so I'm excited to see what's up. Also, I was really surprised to see our next piece of news as well, that Dominique Thorne is going to be starring in an Ironheart series. You guys know the character of Ironheart?
I do, vaguely.
Yeah, yeah, Ironheart. I definitely heard a lot about Ironheart around the time that Endgame came out, for obvious reasons of who might take up the mantle of the Iron Man role a little bit. A lot of people were saying maybe Shuri from Black Panther, or maybe even Peter Parker himself, but I'm glad they're going Ironheart, because I know that this is a character that has a lot of... I think a character like this could have a lot of interesting dynamic with the rest of the Avengers and the rest of the MCU in general.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm excited to see how this ties in with everything else. I'm assuming that as disparate as all these different series and movies seem to be, I'm assuming there's some kind of larger Endgame style plan with them, and it's not just throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks.
In the comics, Ironheart is kind of semi-trained by an AI of Tony Stark, so maybe...
Oh!
Maybe RDJ's back.
That's interesting.
That's true. Maybe she finds some kind of piece of abandoned Stark tech that he Transcendence style uploaded his consciousness into or something.
Yeah, or they could bring back the idea of the Edith in Spider-Man 2?
Yes.
About how he downloaded a lot of his own stuff into that and used it as like a key to pass on a lot of what he did. So, I don't know, we'll see that again maybe.
It also looks like they're building up their teen heroes.
Yes.
With Ironheart, Miss Marvel, teaming them up with Spider-Man.
But yeah, it does seem like they're building up their roster of teen heroes. I'll be interested to see what they do with that.
Give me Squirrel Girl, goddammit.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Well, we've got, Ironheart, Kate Bishop, Miss Marvel, Cassie Lang, presumably. Who am I missing?
Peter Parker.
Well, yeah. I'm hoping that they're gonna age him out of being in high school soon enough.
Well, then why don't we tap Miles Morales then? I know they had a plan for scooping him into the live action anyway, so...
That's true, that's very true. Alright, up next. This is a thing that I don't... Who wants this?
I do, Garrett. I want this.
Don Cheadle is James Rhodes, aka Rhodey, aka War Machine in Armor Wars. A Marvel story about Tony Stark's worst fear coming true. What happens when his tech falls into the wrong hands? AKA every single Iron Man movie, and also most other Marvel movies.
That's happened like 8 different times.
Also, this looks like it could very well have been like a what if episode, Like if they were gonna just do another one of these, they could have just made it animated.
This should have been Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh man.
I like the idea of War Machine and like how, I don't know. This, if it's good, it'll be great, and if it's fine, it'll just be lost to time.
I'm gonna sit on the UWM quad with my cup of coffee and a sign that says, War Machine should have died in the Civil War, changed my mind.
Honestly, you will not find any resistance between the three of us that he should have been sniped out of the sky.
Well, we know where Ironheart's gonna come from.
That's true.
Oh, yeah.
Those two could go together pretty well, but I still don't care.
at the very least, we're gonna see some cool armor designs.
Yeah, that's true. Some fun
Yeah,
tech.
that's true. These next two pieces of news I am absolutely ecstatic about. 2022 will show us James Gunn writing and directing the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special for Disney+.
I was so happy. I was so excited when I saw this come up on the Twitter thread.
I guess he's been pitching this for years, like really wants to do it and has a really good idea for it. I'm excited.
Is it gonna be like Quill teaches the rest of the team what Christmas is? Or like alien holidays coming around Christmas time?
Who knows? It could be anything.
Whatever it is,
genuinely.
we're gonna...
I'm sure they all have their own celebrations. They're all from different planets. We're getting a bunch of different holidays.
And you already know that Groot is gonna get dressed up like a Christmas tree.
Yeah. I'm sure Drax has some kind of weird holiday on his planet.
Yeah, like let's go murder the Santa Claus figure type of holiday.
Yeah. And then in the same vein as that is a series of Baby Groot shorts on Disney Plus called I Am Groot.
Sign me up. Done.
Yeah, it sounds great. I love the Guardians of the Galaxy. They're definitely my favorite Marvel thing in general, from the MCU at least.
It also says featuring several new and unusual characters. With the Cosmic Marvel, that could mean literally anything.
Yeah, I'm wondering how, like, is this going to be actual stories, or is it just going to be, like, cutesy one-off jokes, you know?
It could really go
Baby
either way.
Groot meets Galactus.
I was gonna say, Groot with Howard the Duck running around. I mean, he's there. We know he's there.
That's kind of what I'm looking for, to be honest, yeah. You've got, is it just Cosmo, the dog?
Yeah, Cosmo.
Yeah, you've got lots of potential characters for him to run into. And then, I think we already knew this. Remind me if I'm wrong, that Christian Bale is in Thor Love and Thunder playing the villain Gore the God Butcher.
I think we just knew Christian Bale. Did we know who exactly he was playing?
Well, the rumor was Beta Ray Bill, so I guess we didn't know that he was playing Gore the God Butcher.
Oh, if only he was Beta Ray Bill. Don't remind me of my disappointment.
There is no way that Beta Ray Bill is not going to show up, Seamus, at some point
that's
in something. In these 1,000 Marvel things that they just announced.
They're gonna announce the Beta Ray Bill series soon at this rate.
You're probably not far off, to be honest. So yeah, I mean, that'll be interesting. I'm excited for that movie. Taika Waititi's doing his Star Wars. We didn't talk about that, but it sounds like in 2025, Taika Waititi's going to be doing his own Star Wars movie. So
whoa, that's new. That's great. See you in 2025.
Also announced that Black Panther 2 will be coming in July 2022, still directed by Ryan Coogler, and in order to honor Chadwick Boseman, they will not be recasting T'Challa, but will, quote, explore the world of Wakanda and the rich characters introduced in the first film.
It's gonna be good. They're gonna really put, with how powerful the first Black Panther was and how major it is with the sudden death of Chadwick Boseman, I think they're gonna put so much into this to make sure it's another absolute smash hit. And I'm excited to see it. I loved the first Black Panther, and this will be an interesting continuation to see how they'll handle it. And I'm just excited.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I like the focus on Wakanda, because just that's one of my favorite places of the Marvel Universe, just for design aesthetics alone. And just really fleshing out like this country and what they're all about.
Yeah, I hope it really does focus on the grief that the characters are going through. I think that I trust Ryan Coogler. Obviously, he's a great filmmaker, but I really hope that they stick to the weight that the passing of an icon like Chadwick Boseman carries.
Do you think they're gonna kill him off in the actual movie?
I was actually just about to bring that up. Like, how do they make that transition?
I was talking about this with Annie, and I feel like the only way to properly honor him is to make it final, like, T'Challa's not coming back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's tricky. How do you kill off a character like that off screen?
Yeah, because with a character like Black Panther, if he's gonna die, like, you want him to go out in, like, some kind of huge final battle or something.
Yeah, when he walks through the portal... When he walked through the portal in Endgame, Reborn, that was like people like screamed in our theater when we saw that. It was like a big moment. So they're gonna
yeah, that was the biggest cheer that wasn't Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly. And they're gonna have to do something really thoughtful and touching, I think, to kind of have that. Because, you know, of course you would want Black Panther to like go out in a blaze of glory, but also like you want to show that genuine respect and kind of have more of a gentle touch with it if you're going to be bringing that into the Marvel, I would assume.
Yeah, it'll be a fine line to walk, and I'll be interested to see how they pull it off. We also have news that Ant-Man and the Wasp are back for a new film, Quantum Mania, which brings back the full cast of main characters from the first two films, plus Catherine Newton is replacing whoever played Cassie Lang in the other two as Cassie Lang, and Jonathan Majors as Kang the Conqueror, which is big news.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised they're dropping Kang in an Ant-Man movie.
Hey, man, what is that supposed to mean? Ant-Man is some of the best of these Marvel movies, man. I love Ant-Man.
Retweet, Seamus. Retweet.
Right? Come on. Paul Rudd is so... I don't know. He's the best, and his... Just everything about Ant-Man and the Wasp that I've seen in the first two makes me just pumped that we're getting this. And, you know...
I'm on board for the name Quantumania alone.
Yeah, right? And plus, I'm sure there's gonna be some kind of way for them to make Cassie Lang Squirrel Girl.
Oh, you think Cassie Lang's gonna be Squirrel Girl?
I've kind of had that thought since they did... Well, I mean...
Well, she has her own Marvel character in the comics. She's part of the Young Avengers. Her name is Stature.
Oh, does she has growing powers?
Yeah, she's her own. Yeah, she's her own growing Ant-Man machine.
Oh well, never mind. All my theories are garbage.
So yeah, we'll see where this goes, and then
isn't Kang supposed to be the big bad to replace Thanos for the next however many years?
That was the theory, but I mean, who knows what they're gonna do? But he's certainly got the potential for it. But you know, you saw what they did with Baron Zemo, who was the rumored next big bad.
Very true.
Who was just in Civil War, and I mean, he's popping up again in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but that was a much more subdued version of that character.
Now he's gone full purple.
And then our final bit of news is a surprise to no one. The Fantastic Four is coming in a feature film, and John Watts, who's done the Spider-Man movies, will be directing.
Damn, you never think you'd see it happen.
Don't you, though? Come on. I definitely thought I could see this happen.
I'm just saying, it's been so long since there was... Actually, no, there's never been a good Fantastic Four movie.
I was about to call you out on that. There definitely has, like, they've flopped Fantastic Four since, like, the 70s, right?
Literally, what did both of you just say about Rise of the Silver Surfer?
I never even saw Rise of the Silver Surfer, man.
Rise of the Silver Surfer is a serviceable film.
Serviceable is not, like, good.
But it's enough. It's Andre Braugher is in it. Lawrence Fishburne is the Silver Surfer. It's got enough going on.
It is by default the best Fantastic Four movie.
It is by default the best Fantastic Four movie. That is correct.
We were discussing it before of our like dream casting for the Fantastic Four. We were texting about it, about like our castings for the Fantastic Four and what they could be, and I almost want to like have a casting pool, like we each can throw in a couple names and see who gets the most right, because as far as I know, there's like no information about this, right?
Correct. The fan favorites, which it does seem pretty inevitable that they are so heavily favored that I think Marvel would be stupid not to pursue it, are Emily Blunt and John Krasinski. There is also, and I think we talked about this not on the podcast, just like the three of us. The fan favorite is Zac Efron for Johnny Storm, which we talked about years ago.
Zac Efron, I know
That's almost too perfect.
I usually forget about everything that we ever talk about, but I have no recollection of that, and it sounds kind of perfect.
I mean, you guys have heard my pitch for if you did Fantastic Four like they've been around for a while, and it's Clooney, Vera Farmiga, Jeff Goldblum, who of course couldn't be in the MCU because he already is, and John Goodman.
God, that would be I would lose my goddamn mind over that kind of movie. That sounds perfect, really.
Wait, is Jeff Goldblum Johnny Storm in this situation?
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
Flamon.
He'd die. He'd get off the He'd jump off the building and die because he couldn't say flame on fast enough.
Johnny Storm's powers aren't actually activated by saying flame on. I like the idea of as he stutters, though, he lights up for a second, like every time he goes,
it's like a pilot light just sparking.
But who do you guys...
You threw out the idea of Timothy Oliphant as Mr. Fantastic, and I love that visual. I think that works really well.
I think he'd be really good at it. I'd love to see him take on that kind of role. Hear me out. You've got Kevin James as the Thing.
Oh, okay.
And Adam Sandler as Johnny Storm.
Christ.
50-year-old Johnny Storm. hasn't figured out his life yet.
That's all I'm saying. That's all. I'm just going to put that on the table.
You take it right back off the table, Garrett. I don't want it here.
Well, we finally made it through, and that wasn't even all of the news. That was just the stuff that we thought was worth talking about. Pretty crazy. And we'll see how much of this stuff even gets made.
Yeah. This is all up in the air as everything else right now, so we will see.
But let's move on to our pop culture reference of the episode. Well, boys, I am now one of you. I have finally watched the 1997 Jennifer Lopez Selena.
I'm so happy to hear that, man. What did you think about it?
I was on the ride of my life until it all came crumbling down. It was... I was really impressed with it. It felt very 90s, the movie itself, but I liked it a lot, and Edward James Olmos and Jennifer Lopez are both fantastic.
Yeah, and just for anyone that doesn't... You didn't know how this ended, right?
Well, I mean, gleaning off of your reactions, I could tell that she probably died tragically, but I didn't have any other information, so I just kept waiting for that other shoe to drop. And it did. So that's going to be our pop culture reference of the episode today, is talking about Selena just as an icon and kind of informing people like myself who might not know about her, tying in with, the new Selena series on Netflix that isn't getting such great reviews.
Yeah, that's disappointing.
Yeah, it's too bad. Because I think there is more potential for a greater exploration of thematic and emotional depth. Not that I didn't think that movie was perfectly fine. This
is also a movie, 1997. This is 2 years after she died, so...
Yeah.
Real hot off that cultural move.
They must have greenlit this movie immediately.
Yeah, Jesus, I didn't even realize it was... I didn't put it together that it was so close in proximity.
Yeah.
That's how big she was. People just wanted a movie just to kind of encapsulate the whole thing.
Well, I really enjoyed seeing the clips at the end of her and seeing them compared to, the clips in the film. And also, it looked like, based on the credits, that all of the songs in the movie were just the original Selena songs that J-Lo was lip-syncing to.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. It looked seamless, and that seems like a good way to honor her legacy.
Seamus, you've seen this movie before?
Yes, I have. It's been a little bit, but I definitely, it's a classic. It's so iconic for a reason. Like you're saying, the music is obviously such a major part of this, and it sticks with you whether you are like a fan of Selena before you see it or not. You definitely understand why she was such a phenomenon when you hear the music in the movie.
Yeah, so I guess we should break down the actual truth behind the film and the series. That I didn't realize also how young she was when she rose to stardom, and that she was only like 24 when she died.
Yeah, that really adds onto the whole tragedy of it. Because not only was she so young, but also just right on the brink of really breaking through, kind of globally in America at least. Getting that surge in popularity. If she was still around today, she'd be on Beyonce levels of fame. That's how much of an icon she was.
Yeah, and the movie makes her success seem essentially like overnight meteoric rise that one day she was just gaining steam. And I looked it up, and it really does seem to be how it happened in life, that truly she had all this talent, and that whole family had all this talent, that one day something just clicked, and they were off to stardom almost immediately.
And that's shown in the movie that they did have to grind for like a lot of it, like playing just like at like county fairs, or like they had that restaurant for a bit with their dad with his Joe Jackson like tendencies.
Yeah,
I think that's also a thing people have a problem with the show, is because her dad apparently has like a big control over how all that's portrayed. So it doesn't go as in depth as maybe it could have if it wasn't kind of restricted that way.
Well, I was surprised to learn that the dad was involved with the film, because I do not think it portrays him in a super positive light.
Oh yeah, it really doesn't. Like they have like flashback scenes where you like you get it, but it's still what he's doing is he's like not a good dude.
No, not at all. He's putting his own tarnished dreams ahead of the well-being of his family for most of that story. Which I will say, in the film, I was hoping to have a little bit more denouement spent with him, and which maybe there would have been if he hadn't been involved. Like, him really reflecting on how indirectly it is his daughter's stardom that ultimately led to her death. And so, how would he emotionally navigate the aftermath of her shooting?
This movie holds a special place for me just for that one scene where they have the big concert in Mexico. Because I don't think I've ever seen that many Mexicans on screen at the same time.
That's a good sequence.
Yeah, man, where they're gonna kill that one girl.
Uh-huh. I really like this movie. Thank you for exposing me both to it and to just Selena as a cultural touchstone.
You done been educated.
Straight up. And I'm kind of sad about the, like you said, the middling reviews of the series, because I was hoping that maybe we could do that for the show at some point, but it looks like the legacy of Selena is gonna stick firmly in the classic movie.
So yeah, I think that wraps us up for our kind of unorthodox semi-review pop culture reference, but it's definitely something that I learned a lot about over the last few weeks that we've been talking about this on the show.
Yeah, it's always fun to spread that gospel. What do we got next, Garrett?
Now it's time for our pop quiz.
Pop quiz.
Last week, boys, Ricardo emerged victorious during our pop quiz segment, which may or may not make the final cut of the episode, depending on how the audio turns out from last week. But as the scores stand, Ricardo is ahead 3-2, which means, Seamus, you get to pick the category for this week's contest.
I'm ready to redeem myself.
Your choices are Star Wars or Pixar.
I'm gonna do this as a strategic move just because I think I know more about obscure Star Wars things than Ricardo. But then I am also setting myself up to look like a fraud, so I'm still gonna choose Star Wars.
Alright, you guys know the rules. I'm gonna read the question, and whoever gives me the correct answer first gets the point. If neither of you can come up with the correct answer, or both of you say it at the same time, we'll move on to the other category as our tiebreaker question. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. The category is Star Wars. Obviously, Patty Jenkins has just announced that she will be directing a Rogue Squadron movie releasing Christmas 2023. In Legends, what original trilogy character is the leader of Rogue Squadron?
That would be Wedge Antilles.
Right you are, Seamus. Wedge Antilles.
What was that name again?
Wedge Antilles.
Okay, so it's not Wedge and Tillies.
No.
It's funny that you bring that up, Ricardo, because there's a separate character that is the guy that Darth Vader chokes to death on the Tantive 4 in Episode 4 that is named Captain Antilles, who's an entirely separate character unrelated to Wedge.
Well, what the hell? Star Wars, keep it together.
Has Star Wars literally ever kept it together, Seamus?
No, they have not.
Well, speaking of Star Wars, let's move on to our Mando-Bros of the episode. But before we do, as it stands now, you guys are tied back up 3-3. Let's talk Mando-Bros. Chapter 15, The Believer.
Because we saw his face.
Oh, you go straight to hell, Ricardo.
Before we get into today's Mando-Bros, this is an official spoiler warning. Everything we say from here on out is spoilers. I'm guessing it'll probably be like this for next week too, because these Mando-Bros just are going from minute one.
I had a really good time with this episode. We continue from where we left off in Chapter 14, The Tragedy, with springing Bill Burr's character, whose name is... Mayfeld. Of course, I said it a lot in the recap. They spring him from prison. We get just a quick extra shout out to that other HK prison guard droid that was giving him some sass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mayfeld definitely shines as a character way more in this one than he did on the original Prison Break episode in Season 1, I'll say that.
Don't worry, he's still racist, though.
Wait, what? What? He's racist?
Well, in the Prison Break episode, he impersonates a Gungan, rather derogatorily.
Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah.
And then in this one, he does a lot of, "You people, come on, Mando, take your helmet off."
Yeah, that's true. I got a little uncomfortable with that, of just, like, Mando sitting in just, like, angry silence of, like, yeah, I guess this bald sniper is making fun of my entire, like, culture and religion, but...
So they brought in Bill Burr and gave him the direction of, you know what, just, like, do 10 minutes of
man.
Bill Burr material.
I don't know. I will say, though, on their journey in the truck, a lot of the stuff that he's saying about, like, the Empire versus the New Republic gave it a feel of, like, you know, a little more fleshed out of the ideology that Benicio del Toro's character has in The Last Jedi.
I was thinking the exact same thing, Seamus.
Yeah, right? A little bit more of there is so much more complexities in the galaxy than just, like, Republic good, Empire bad, everybody agrees, and nobody has any other opinions about it. He's just, you know, he's ex-Imperial, and he's laying it down pretty honestly.
And even though he's kind of being a jerk about it, really, he's saying those things that Mando needs to hear, that other characters like Bo-Katan are telling him, which are that it doesn't help you to have a code if that code keeps you from doing what's right. And we see that he actually does learn that in this episode, because he takes off his helmet in order to get to Grogu and help him.
I was going to ask, Ricardo, you're more of an orthodox Mandalorian, so taking off his helmet again, I'm sure that gave you some spine chills.
Yeah, man, I felt the impact. I felt that weight, how hard that was for him.
And also, you know, for somebody whose face we barely see, when he does have his helmet off, you can visually tell that he's, like, uncomfortable as Din Djarin having his, you know, he's not wearing his armor, any of it. He had to take even the Stormtrooper helmet off. It's very good acting.
Absolutely. It's really coming through. Honestly, I know I say this every week now, it feels like, but in terms of the storytelling going on, this is one of the best, if not the best episodes of The Mandalorian, because its story feels, despite being part of the larger ongoing storyline, it feels self-contained. It has really strong themes and character arcs. It's just, there's so much going on. The action is spectacular. Rick Famuyiwa, who directed Chapter 2 and Chapter 6, I believe, the Prison Break episode, really, really is bringing it with this episode as well.
I totally loved, and I kind of saw it coming, but I also loved the moment of tension that they have sitting at the table having a toast with that Imperial officer. It was very much a Inglourious Bastard / Django Unchained, just, like, passionate murder that Mayfeld gets into, that it, you know, at once feels exactly like what that character would do, and it felt good. I didn't like that guy. He was just being a total jerk. I kind of thought he was going to do a big reveal of like, I do recognize you, Mayfeld, and this has been a trap, but he
didn't hold up his 3 fingers instead of his thumb.
I was going to say Auf Wiedersehen to your imperial chest, maybe?
That was a really good scene, and I loved learning that depth of Mayfeld's character. Not that it makes us necessarily think he's a good guy, but that we see he doesn't have much love for the Empire, despite being an ex-Imperial sharpshooter.
Yeah, and there's weird complexity to this character just because of how much Bill Burr has publicly bagged on Star Wars, and I think another very interesting bit of dialogue in that truck ride is that he's explaining that you just do what you gotta do for the opportunities that you have. You live your life in a way that is like what's best for you despite whatever code you've set up for yourself. And I almost thought that was maybe a wink of him being like, hey, I get it, I'm in Star Wars, but like, it's The Mandalorian. I'm getting paid fat bucks for this, and I'm only in 2 episodes, so I think his own code is like meta called into question here again.
Is he honestly a big Star Wars hater?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's got like
he has entire stand-up bits.
Yeah, like
about
bits
how
in
he
his
doesn't
stand-up
like Star
about
Wars.
how much he hates it.
The legacy of people who hate Star Wars making Star Wars better goes all the way back to Episode 4 with Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
In that, I think it really does, honestly, in a lot of ways, the people who don't really like Star Wars, who are in Star Wars, are usually giving a more grounded, real performance that helps make that universe feel better. And they're often cast well in that they are the skeptics in that universe.
Yeah, I don't quite think we'll ever see Mayfeld again. I think this was his farewell, but I wouldn't mind him coming back around, maybe. Maybe give him an episode next season or something of him coming back around, and I wouldn't mind.
Spin-off show?
Oh no, not more!
Well, I think he could. He's somebody who I could definitely see popping up in Rangers of the New Republic.
Oh, yeah, it's a good call.
And I know I kind of trash-talked the Boba Fett stuff a little bit last week, but 2 things stood out to me a lot.
I know what you were going to say.
Shiny, clean armor.
Yeah.
Which looks great. But, the thing that we were anticipating last week, those seismic charges are back, boys.
Oh, they've never sounded better. Yeah, they knew what they were doing. That's 100%. They could have just made him shoot down those TIE fighters. They knew that they were doing that for the fans.
And I'll tell you, playing Battlefront 2 makes you very aware of how dangerous those bad boys can be.
God, you're telling me.
This was a good episode. It was just a really good episode.
Yeah, for what could be considered a side quest episode to, make it to our finale for next week, I think it was...
Is that true? Is the finale next week?
Finale's next week.
Yeah.
Oh.
We've got the coordinates of Gideon's ship, and we're coming for him.
Oh, just also a quick shout out to the absolute badassery of repeating Moff Gideon's speech back to him from season 1. Oh, I love that. Just watching his face grow more concerned of like, oh, this is a bigger problem than I originally thought it was going to be.
Because it's like poetry, it rhymes. The penultimate episode of the first season ended with that speech, and the penultimate episode of the second season ended with that speech.
Oh, no.
Good. Also, quick aside that I'm only realizing now, this is the first episode ever without an appearance of Grogu?
Right you are, Seamus.
Felt a little weird. I thought when they go to Gideon's ship at the end, we were going to get him in his little baby prison cell again, but they give him that puppet a day off.
Where is he? Where's our boy?
We are legit concerned at this point.
I gotta say, we've got a different crew going into the finale than I ever would have guessed we would.
Yeah. I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all.
No.
But it's definitely, I thought Carl Weathers was going to be here. And, there still might be a little team-up sequence at the intro of the finale next week. But as it stands now, it's just Cara Dune and Boba Fett and
Fennec Shand.
And Fennec Shand.
who is also going to be in the Bad Batch, maybe, I think?
Oh.
Somebody said they saw her in the trailer.
Well, I did not notice her in there.
But, I don't know. That's neither here nor there. Well, it's actually there, but it's not here. Which is where we're talking about The Mandalorian. Yeah, I could see us picking up Carl Weathers. I could see us picking up Cobb Vanth. I don't think we're getting Ahsoka in the finale, unfortunately.
Yeah, probably not. She's got her own thing going on.
Yep. But next week can't come soon enough. I'm hyped about it.
Oh, it's gonna be glorious.
We're gonna see Yaddle. I'm putting it down.
Yaddle is Grogu's mother confirmed.
Well, I do think we probably will see whatever Jedi he managed to contact last week on the finale next week.
Oh, that's 100% what's gonna happen. And there's gonna be a fight between a Beskar spear and the Darksaber, so that's gonna be pretty sick.
Yep. So yeah, I think I'm pecking the finale, like the very end of the finale is gonna be the Jedi showing up.
Yeah. I think I would not bet against that.
Whether that's gonna be Luke or Ezra or Cal Kestis or Yaddle or some new Jedi altogether. There's a rumor that maybe it's gonna be Mace Windu.
If that happens, I will scream. I will flip out if it's Mace Windu.
Well, before The Mandalorian, I had pitched you guys my Boba Fett revenge western where he's going after Mace Windu.
Oh,
we can still see that on The Mandalorian.
This could be connected. Oh, God. Don't even get me that excited, Garrett. We have a whole week to go.
Alright, but yeah, I think that wraps us up for Mando-Bros, don't you?
I think so. See you guys next week for the finale of Mando-Bros until whenever Season 3 is coming out.
Well, WandaVision will start, and then those Marvel shows just won't stop coming, so... So yeah, now it's time to Save the Rec Center, where we give you our recommendations for the week. Take us in.
Yeah.
For one, it's final season right now, and one of the papers that I've been writing about has been about the original 1996 Ghost in the Shell movie, and I had never seen it before this class, and I know it's a classic for a reason, and I've avoided the Scarlett Johansson remake that caught so much flack for so many different reasons, and going in, watching it clean, it was amazing. It's genuinely a masterpiece of like neo-futuristic, Blade Runner. It's every like cyberpunk, all this stuff in a genuinely more existential and nihilistic tone than I would have thought. So that really blew me away. If you haven't seen it, it's a little old, but it's on Prime for free. So please check it out.
Is it on Prime for free, Seamus, or is it on Prime if you're a Prime member?
Garrett, I don't know. Which one is it?
You can cut me being an asshole if you want, by the way.
I genuinely don't know. Answer the question.
Yes, it's on Amazon Prime Video.
Very nice. I really wanted to see that movie for a long time, and I should just bite the bullet. And I have a hard time with anime sometimes, which is probably why I haven't gotten around to it yet, but I've heard nothing but amazing things.
Give it a shot, please. It's not even that long, too. It's only like an hour and 20, so it's not like a big undertaking if you just want to dabble in some of the more classic stuff. I definitely think you should go for it.
Well, for my rec center this week, I'm going to have something unheard of. A recent movie.
Oh, wow.
I recently, this week, rented from the Lincoln Film Center, which has their own virtual cinema going right now, the new Chloe Zhao film, Nomadland. I don't know if you guys have seen The Writer, which was her last film, which it uses a lot of non-actors and is kind of about working-class Americans in the West. It's similar in that regard, except the two main characters are played by Frances McDormand and David Strathairn in her new film Nomadland. It's a quiet, contemplative look at what it means to be a working-class American in the aftermath of the Great Recession, and what basic things like individual liberties and community mean in modern America. It's really powerful stuff. Frances McDormand gives an amazing performance. Once again, kind of like my rec center a couple weeks ago, First Cow, it's definitely slow cinema, but it's engaging and funny and entertaining and heartfelt. And it's not streaming anywhere for rental yet. They had specific screening dates for the Lincoln Film Center, but I'm guessing it'll be coming to virtual art house cinemas pretty soon because Searchlight Pictures has picked it up. So that means it'll probably be coming to places like the Music Box, the Oriental, where you can rent it online.
That sounds really interesting. I definitely do love a good dose of realism in my film, and Frances McDermott is just she's a goddamn talent, so I might have to check that one out when it comes to a wider release.
Ricardo, what do you got?
Looks like you're the odd man out, Garrett, because we only recognize weebs here. I'm doing an anime. Just like,
oh boy.
Seamus, I think I've talked about this before. I don't know if I've ever made it a whole rec center, but I'm going to recommend the only anime I can actually watch, Cowboy Bebop, which I think is pure perfection. Just everything it does masterfully. From its sci-fi world to its jazz soundtrack, similar to Ghost in the Shell with you, Seamus. It's got a bunch of nihilist, existential, lots of different philosophies going on. It's a short 26 episodes. If you haven't checked it out, please do. It's just a phenomenal work of art.
Yeah, I definitely will say that if you enjoy Cowboy Bebop, you will definitely enjoy Ghost in the Shell and vice versa. So.
Yeah, I really have wanted to watch Cowboy Bebop for a long time. That's another thing that's been on my list. I've got the DVDs literally sitting in a binder in my room because, you guys know what a big Firefly guy I am, and I know it has a very similar premise and tone from what I understand.
Yeah. It's got more of an episodic situation going on, but yeah, they're very similar.
Well, I'm excited to check it out. With that, I think that wraps us up for this week's episode of Pop Culture Reference. I have no idea how long this thing's gonna turn out after the edit, so thank you for bearing with us through all of that news. And I'm excited to come back next week for our Christmas special. Be sure to give us a thumbs up, leave us a review if you're listening on iTunes. If you're on YouTube, be sure to subscribe, and watch out there for other YouTube exclusive content, which we have coming semi-regularly. Other than that, thanks for listening and have a great week.
Send us more
Adios,
news.
amigos.
We want more.
Oh, God.
There can never be enough news.